How's it going, Ram fans? Welcome back to another week of Monday Night Sports. I'm Madeline Davis.
And I'm Ella Fredrickson, here to break down what was a crazy busy weekend of CSU sports. From giving you everything you need to know about how this green and gold game went down, including some thoughts from the fans right from the tailgating lots,
to Cam wrapping up spring practice for Rams football by letting you know what a variety of guys on this roster think about their new leadership at the top.
And of course, Out of Pocket is back for the second to last time this semester, where we'll debate over the popularity of our pro teams here in Colorado with our jerseys front and center. All of that and much, much more is up next on CTV Sports, which launches into action right now.
Now, if you've been paying any attention to what we've been doing here on Mondays recently, you'd know full well that Rams football has been back in action over the past month or so. Thanks to, as I'm sure you can guess, the return of spring practice and organized team activities back in late March, which of course all built up to this squad's highly anticipated spring game this past weekend. But hey, this wasn't the only action on the docket for Saturday. With this year's Green and Gold game, understandably came Colorado State's Green and Gold weekend, which was filled with so many athletic events and ways to get involved with the CSU community here on campus, including the first annual Grit Run 5K in the morning, led by Rams football's head coach Jay Norvell to raise funds for cystic fibrosis research, yet another home track meet, which Ella will fill you in on in a bit, a tennis match across town at the Fort Collins Country Club, a matchup for Rams soccer, and even a tailgate to go along with the spring game. So with all of the CSU athletics action this past weekend being said, and to honor the return of action in Canvas Stadium after a few months off, of course, I had to get into the green and gold spirit and ask some Colorado State students and fans some football-related trivia during the tailgate. Here's how it went. Madeline Davis with CTV here outside of Canvas Stadium, right before the spring football game. We're going to go ask some CSU fans and students some trivia. So our first question is, what does CAM, as in Cam the Ram, stand for?
Cameron.
The Ram.
Cameron.
Colorado Animal Mascot.
Colorado Agriculture and Mining.
Correct! Next question. What year do you think the first CSU football game was?
1934.
It's got to be this year.
This year.
This year.
1892.
Oh, so close!
93.
Yes, 1893.
Oh.
I'll accept it. I'll accept it. That's the best answer we've gotten so far. Okay, final question. What is the name of Coach Norvell's new offense?
No idea. 0-12.
Oh, and 12.
Well, I saw a T-shirt on Instagram that said "Burn the boats."
Burn the boats. Okay. That's a good guess.
For air raid.
Correct.
Come on. Thank you.
Finally, someone got it right.
Some people have it, some people don't. You know, it's me.
Correct! Oh, sorry, I scared him. So, okay. Even though only one person knew what Fort Air Raid was, I'm sure a lot more students and fans are now way more familiar with the term now that Saturday's action is over and done with, where the general public finally got a live look at how Coach Norvell is running this new offense. By the end of the afternoon, the ones finished on top of the world, which was, as you can guess, made up of all the non-first teamers, with a final score of 49-37, for an end result that didn't matter at all. But just because whatever the scoreboard said was irrelevant doesn't mean that there were any shortage of highlights and exciting moments from Saturday. And in fact, far from it. For starters, redshirt freshman quarterback Clay Millen absolutely killed it, closing out his strong spring by going 22 for 33 with 292 passing yards and 4 touchdowns to make a really strong case for that QB1 job entering the summer. Oh, and how can we forget about the guys he was throwing to? Once again, just like he did in the scrimmage a couple of weeks back, Nevada transfer Melquan Stovall made yet another phenomenal grab in the end zone, which, as you can see here. So, while sure, fellow Wolfpack transfer Tory Horton has gotten a lot of praise at wideout, and I mean deservingly so with how well he looked out there on Saturday, including a long TD catch from Millen, this Stovall guy can really play it too. That's all I'm saying. But at the end of the day, the spring game was way more about bringing the CSU community back together after a rough couple of years on the gridiron than it was about the production on the field. And while the Rams may not play another game until August, after Saturday, I think there are a lot more Ram fans out there counting down the days until they get to see this team play again than there were entering the beginning of the week. Something CSU football has not been able to offer in a long, long time.
And Madeline, I know you weren't able to make it because you were at the tennis match, but Millen isn't even where it was brought home for me. Personally, I love seeing a strong QB2. Just knowing that if something were to ever happen to Millen injury-wise or just, sick day, whatever, having Pooler as a really, really good backup who can throw darts and is confident with his targets, that's refreshing.
I agree. I mean, I did go to a fair amount of spring practices, and so I got to see a lot of Clay Millen and Giles Pooler play, and I was very impressed. I mean, both freshmen and both playing this well. A lot of future for Rams football.
Absolutely. It's a young team, and it's a good-looking team for the future.
It makes me excited.
And hey, Rams football wasn't the only team on campus that had a feel-good weekend. CSU Track and Field got to stay on campus for the second straight weekend to host the Jack Christensen Invitational, which ended up taking place on both Friday and Saturday, where even winds up to 60 miles per hour at some points couldn't prevent this Ram squad from dominating the competition in front of the home fans. And to start things off on the throwing side of things for once, Tareen Sig once again earned the best women's hammer throw of the weekend with a crazy distance of 201 feet and 10 inches, which landed her an impressive 20th best for the event on the NCAA's West Performance List for the spring. And now on the men's side of the hammer, 2 personal bests were achieved by Mariano Kiss and Colin Brown with tosses of 185 feet and 8 inches and 176 feet and 5 inches. So while these 2 throws did only place them at 3rd and 6th respectively for the event, I have to commend these guys for continuing to improve all season. And we aren't quite done with the field side just yet. Predictably, Gabby McDonald won at shot put for the 4th time this season and also managed to take home the gold in discus as well. While at the same time, Mariano Kiss did the same on the other side, taking the W in the men's version of the ball throw, while his teammate Adam Dawson continued to do his thing in discus to take home #1 honors. And to close things out, I can't forget about redshirt senior Jackson Morris either, who was the runner-up to his teammate Adam Dawson in this event to break his 4th PR of the year. Congrats, Jackson. So as you can tell from all of that, even with some not so ideal weather, CSU pretty much cleaned up here, going for a total of 15 individual wins, which was pretty evenly spaced out on either end, with 8 from the women's side and 7 from the men. But hey, this weekend's action wasn't all about the results. Before things even got started on Friday, the naming of the Fritz Fulton Memorial Men's 110 meter took place. Fritz competed for CSU from 1985 to 1989 and later became an extreme fixture for Rams Track and Field as a coach, where he shared his passion for the sport with so many young people throughout the years. The Fulton family returned home to Jack Christensen Track this weekend to honor Mr. Fulton and reflect on his legacy after passing away from colon cancer in early February, with the 110-meter race from this weekend's meet obviously being dedicated to his honor. And promptly after this emotional memorial to kick off the event, it was fitting that a Colorado State athlete took home the gold, with Andrew Doctor coming through to win with a time of 13.96, which was good enough for a personal best and 3rd all-time in the CSU ranks. And on that note, shortly after in the men's 400, Tom Willems finished with a time of 46.46, which was yet another personal best and puts him at 4th in school history, while running mate Adam Stark came in right behind him with a time of 47.77, sliding him to 20th on that exact same list. And if that still wasn't enough for you, the last mark in the history books for the weekend came predictably from Jack Cobble in the 100 meter. Going for the 5th best all-time mark at 10.46. So after all of that, up next for CSU Track and Field is a trip to Northern Cali for the Fresno Invitational, their last meet before Mountain West Conference qualifiers heat up in mid-May. Obviously, let's hope they can use this quick trip out west to fine-tune any kinks they may have before the results really begin to matter.
Jumping off the track and onto the court, now CSU tennis was over at the Fort Collins Country Club after high winds caused them to move the match inside. But the location change did anything but stop fans from attending this team's final home match of the season, where they swept the Nevada Wolfpack 4-zip to secure the number 2 seed in the Mountain West tournament next week. If you somehow didn't know already, there isn't a single American on the tennis team. So for the last home match of the season, CSU predictably started things out by highlighting their wonderful international athletes, which then, of course, led into the doubles portion of the match, where the Rams came out on top, thanks to wins from Tracy Guo and Lucia Natal, as well as Summer Dalabana and Sharka Riktorova. Out of those 3, the first to get finished was 3 dubs, with Natal and Guo winning 6-3 without really even breaking a sweat. And after that, Bushkova and Mihaljevic were on deck, where they surprisingly dropped their set 3-6 to even the point at 1-all, which left things up once again to the dynamic duo of Dalabana and Riktorova at 1 dubs to decide the point, where they came through to secure the ever-elusive doubles point for the Rams with a 6-1 victory. And after that came the singles portion of the match, where things were even less close than they were in the opening part of the matchup, with the Rams once again dominating their opponents on the other side. I mean, the only Ram to even come close to struggling was Radka Bushkova at 1 singles, who battled through a tough first set to find her groove in the second to ultimately win things 6-4, 6-1. And besides that, though, at 2 singles, Summer Dalabana cruised to a nice victory 6-2, 6-1. And Sharka Riktorova was clearly the star of the show at number 3, where she bageled her opponent for an easy dub. Riktorova had to say this about her successful match.
It feels really great. I was so excited to play in front of all of those people, and it feels even closer to them indoors, and I was just having a good time, and I'm really glad that it turned out this way.
With the win on Saturday, the Rams close out their regular season at 14-7 and 8-2 in Mountain West play, which is the best conference record in the history of this program. Wow. And as I mentioned at the top, the dub also secures the number 2 seed in the upcoming Mountain West tourney for this squad, which starts later this week in Tucson, Arizona. Man, I just cannot wait to see how these amazing Rams continue to show out down in the desert.
And moving things from the court and onto the field real quick, CSU Softball traveled out to Cali to take on Fresno State in a 3-game conference tripleheader. And sure, while the Rams and the Bulldogs may have had a similar record coming into this one, that didn't exactly translate to an even back-and-forth series for the away team. To get into this a little bit more, the action got started on Friday, where CSU's bats came out hot, putting up 4 hits while driving in 3 just in the first inning alone. But after that, the green and gold went almost completely cold, both offensively and defensively, ultimately losing the first one 6-4. Thanks in most part to a great 3rd inning from Fresno, where they managed to get 4 more across the plate after a wild pitch from CSU had things starting to unravel a little bit. Doing this all on 2 outs and just 5 hits, I may add. And Julia Cabral was given the start and obviously the loss on this one, and Sydney Hornbuckle replaced her after just 2 2/3 of the matchup pitched. After just a night's rest and this rough performance from the mound, things picked right back up on Saturday afternoon, where things told a pretty similar story to what went down on Friday night. Just like in Game 1, CSU started things out on fire, putting up the first 2 runs thanks to an Ashley Michelena triple with a Haley Smith sac fly. And just an inning later, it continued with Maya Matsubara coming up with yet another score after driving an RBI with the bases loaded. Regardless of this hot start, though, once the home squad started to get things going and got on board in the 4th, the Rams became almost silent in the batter's box yet again, losing Game 2 just 3-4. In the span of 3 innings, more specifically the 3rd through the 6th, the Rams were able to get just 14 up to the plate and 12 of them heading right back to the dugout. But still, the green and gold kept fighting, with that 3rd and final run of the night coming in the last frame and looking like the start of a comeback for CSU faithful. But after a lead-off Danielle Serna bomb, the green and gold were obviously unable to capitalize any further and take a lead. In case you think the hurt and pain is over, unfortunately, we still have one more game to get through. So now, although the bats were consistent for the away team in this final matchup, the 11 runners stranded on base through 7 left Colorado State walking away from this series 0 for 3. For a change of pace, Fresno started this one going up a pair in the second on 2 hits and a CSU error. Shortly after, in the fourth, the Rams managed to tie things up thanks to a Brick Bolander RBI double that brought in 2. Unfortunately, that momentum didn't last super long as the Bulldogs answered right back in the bottom half, doubling their runs at 4. After leaving the bases loaded in the 5th and Fresno continuing to add to their lead, this green and gold squad was unable to come up with the runs they needed to avoid the Broom, taking that L 6-3. The Rams returned back to campus this weekend to play another 3-game series, but this time taking on the very successful Nevada Wolfpack. Speaking for all of those on the CSU roster, I know they would love to see you out there during some of their last home games of the year.
And with that, Rams, it's time for a super speedy break.
When we come back, Cam wraps up the spring for CSU football by seeing how the roster feels about their new leaders at the top. You won't want to miss it.
Awkward. I'm the awkward silence. You try to avoid me, then there I am again.
But an awkward silence can be a great thing.
Like Kelly here is about to demonstrate.
You haven't really been yourself lately. Are you okay?
Find out how you can help a friend with their mental health at seizetheawkward.org.
What's up, Rams, and welcome back to Cam's Corner. I'm your host, Cameron Evig. CSU football has just recently concluded spring practice, and with a brand new head coach and a ton of new transfers and recruits, CSU needed this spring to help create their identity. I caught up with the team during spring training. Let's take a look.
If you could describe this team going into next year with one word, what would that word be?
Explosive.
Explosive. I think excited.
It has to be grit for sure.
The CSU Rams football team is coming off some major struggles after last season's very underwhelming 3-9 record. But with a brand new head coach as well as a team full of good transfer players and seasoned vets, 2022 could look much different for CSU football.
We had guys that were transfers from Nevada. We had guys transfers from Tulsa, FIU, and in the first few weeks they were these new guys and this and that, but now it's like we're starting to become a team.
Do you feel some sort of responsibility to help these new players get integrated into CSU football, integrated into Fort Collins in general?
Yeah, I do feel some type of responsibility, especially on defense. I mean, being a Mike linebacker, that automatically puts me in that role. I'm also a leader on the team, so that's another thing that puts me in that role. But, I mean, if you want to win right now with a lot of new guys and some of the old guys and you want to gel, I mean, they got to be a top priority to bond right now, so in the back end we'll be fine.
Although seeing the vets and transfers mesh well is great, what CSU faithful are dying to see is the new offense, Ford Air Raid. And the guy at the helm has been getting a lot of praise lately.
The thing I like about Clay and this offense is we can check a lot of things. So if we're seeing like cover 3 or cover 4, we can check the post on the outside, out on the outside. It just all depends on the coverage. That's what I really like about it, so I can get open on any given play.
But you speak to Clay, you think of a guy, who's extremely confident, can go out there, he can make all the throws. You know what I'm saying? We all have complete confidence in him, backing him and what he's going to do in this offense.
Great coaches, Coach Norvell, Coach Mummy, they teach it super well in the offense like we talked about. It's pretty simple. So I've been able to learn it and just get comfortable with the guys, and all the receivers out there are doing a great job today. Like the guys that have been here, the guys that transferred over, they've been great. So we're just keep on building this thing, and it's been good.
Jay Norvell's main goal after signing a 5-year, $9 million contract is certainly to win games. But another important aspect to him is community.
We've done this 5K run the last 5 years, and twice as many people we've ever had. And so I just appreciate that. It's something that's important to us, and it's a way for us to give back. And so I think our kids get as much out of all these things as the community.
Although all we've seen is spring ball, Jay Norvell and his squad look certain to help turn this struggling football program around.
Great time joining the Rams in their practices and at their spring game. And after seeing how spring went, I'm expecting a significantly better Rams squad come next year. But all right, Rams, that's all the time I've got for now, but be sure you stick around for Out of Pocket right after this.
So there you are, shuffling through a stack of resumes and you come to mine. This is it, first impression, my way in. But here's the thing, can my resume show you how I truly stand out? Can one piece of paper really tell you my whole story? Like that I was studying, going to night school while working 2 jobs just to help my parents pay for groceries. Or how anytime there was an opportunity, I was the first one to step up. Because I wasn't gonna let my life, my circumstances dictate who I was gonna become. And all of that determination, commitment, drive, that's me. And that's something you just can't put on paper. Look beyond the resume and discover new ways to develop great talent like me.
What's up, Ram fans? Welcome back from the break and to, yes, yet another week of Out of Pocket. So there has been quite a bit of activity in the last few months in Denver in the world of sports. So I want to know what you guys think in terms of the hype that's kind of been involved with that. Do you think it is way too much, or do you think it is way too little?
I think we all kind of know where I stand on this situation. I am a Denver fan, ride or die. I will always back the Denver teams. I mean, you know, I'm not even that big of a football fan or a hockey fan or a basketball fan, but I want every single team in Denver to win. Imagine how fun that would be. And I don't think we're getting enough hype. I mean, I don't feel like anybody is really talking about the Avalanche, and I don't know if you know what the Avalanche are doing right now. They are the best team in the NHL, and like it's not even a close race. They are the best team in the NHL. The Nuggets have had a crazy successful season. They're in the playoffs right now. We'll see how that one turns out. And then obviously the Broncos just got Russell Wilson. That was a huge trade, a huge uplift in the Denver football community. And then the Rockies, well, the Rockies are great, so good. Do you know what they have right now? They have the longest hit streak in the MLB. Thank you, Connor Joe. Hit a leadoff home run today. They have the MLB leader in home runs, CJ Crone. Oh, they're not.
Oh, no.
What a shame.
Oh, no.
And they're having a fun time. I mean, Chad Kuhl is killing it. It makes me so excited. I'm absolutely loving Denver sports right now.
No, I mean, I don't necessarily agree with the Rockies part, obviously, because I'm a diehard Red Sox fan. So I don't exactly want to see the Rockies succeed as much as they are.
They're not even in the same division.
I know. But in terms of the Avs, I completely agree. I don't think people are talking about them enough. I mean, I know this team can be known for having a harder time in the postseason and maybe, quote unquote, choking a little bit. But I think how they look so far is really, really strong, and I'm excited to see their future. And obviously, you mentioned Russell going to the Broncos. That I am really, really excited for. I think he's going to uplift the team, the environment, their record, everything. So I'm really excited. Overhyped, maybe a little bit, but they do deserve some recognition for what they're doing.
I agree. The recognition there is deserved, but the team that should be getting the most right now in Denver sports is easily the Avalanche, because of the fact, besides the 4-game losing streak which they're on, which is a little scary if you're an Avs fan, it is kind of like last season. You saw them win a lot of games, be very good, dominant, unstoppable even, then they just slow down towards the end of the season
can I add
and
something
going
real
into
quick?
the playoffs.
They clinched the playoffs with like a month left of the regular season.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, you know, they're giving those guys a break. Like, they don't need these wins.
They might play a little less hard, and I agree, and that's okay. The Avalanche are the team that are favored to win the Cup this year, or were at least last night when I checked.
But I mean, they were last year as well.
And that's the thing. The Avs can easily choke in the playoffs. We've seen it many times. The Avs are not overhyped. The Rockies, wow, they absolutely are. Listen, the Colorado Rockies are a terrible organization. And overall, the Rockies are a terrible organization. There is not anything that is good about the Rockies. You get Chris Bryant, you get CJ.
Chris Bryant's fine.
Chris Bryant, you get CJ.
Chris Bryant, fantastic.
Who is
CJ
hitting
Crone,
very well.
Connor Joe, according to Ryan Spielborg's best Rocky of all time.
Wow, well, that's just weird. But Connor Joe
Take it up
very
with Billy.
That's so disrespectful. Todd Helton, Cargo. I'd put Dexter Fowler over Connor Joe. But
take it up with
beside the
Ryan
point.
Spielborg.
The Denver Broncos, let me finish, Madeline, thank you. The Denver Broncos also hyped, very deserved, right? You get a franchise quarterback that you haven't had in forever. Although I believe that drafting one is still better. You get Russell Wilson, that's great. You know, being a Broncos fan myself, I'm okay with the move. Still wish we would have drafted somebody instead. Whatever. Overhyped, absolutely, and it's mostly coming from the Rockies because the Rockies have never been good, and now they have won maybe 12 games, so everybody's very excited.
I think something also needs to be said about baseball. 162 games in the season. If you're going to do well in the first 20, that's great, and that's dandy. That'll put you on the headlines for the first 2 weeks. But if you don't play well in September, like the Rockies are known for,
no.
Because
the Rockies are fantastic in September. Absolutely fantastic.
Okay, but Rocktober is not a thing. Let me put that out there. They play games in October, yes, but they don't win them. The Red Sox win them in October, and I just want to say that for Madeline's sake.
Rocktober is the funnest time of the year.
Funnest isn't. It's not a word.
But it's okay.
Yeah, it is. Funnest is a word.
Listen, we got to bring in the colleges as well. CSU just came off a really good.
That is true. DU just won.
We're going to Colorado, not just Denver. DU just wins the national championship, absolutely huge. CSU comes off a huge year for basketball, and next year is going in a little bit more hyped than I would be, but you know. CU, yeah, no,
honestly not.
But besides that,
they're not bad though.
Colorado sports look really good right now, and I think
Colorado's having a big year.
It's
really
a little bit overhyped just because of the Rockies, but every other team is doing phenomenal.
I think there's a lot to look forward to with CSU football just as a whole and Denver Broncos football as a whole. Obviously, we don't know how that's going to play out yet. The season has not started, but I think in terms of being a fan, I would be more excited for these seasons than I have in the past, for sure.
No, I'm so excited. I'm so excited, obviously.
And well, Rams, that is all the sports news we've got for you tonight. Make sure to tune in tomorrow for a special edition of CTV Cooks. Thank you and have a wonderful rest of your evening.